What does a movie hacker look like? Yeah, the hoodie. Hoodie's a good idea. What else? The mask. Yes, it looks exactly like this. This is what a movie hacker looks like. In reality, hackers use very sophisticated tools. We use technology to really, leverage other technology. So one of the, lead hacking tools we use every day, which you've all probably never heard of, because it's so very secure and so very cyber, is Google. For example, I have Leonard, who's standing right there, as one of my main enemies, and I want to hack him. And to do that, I need him to, click on a file, so the file is installed. Let's find out how we could hack him. We're just Googling his name here. And what we see here as the, second result, it's his personal web page. So now I know where to send it to. I know no one's impressed right now. Finding out an email address is not hard. So let's keep looking, because I still don't know how I can get him to click on the file. I can see that this website was designed and created, again, by Leonard Marschke. This is an interesting piece of information, because now I know who he's working for, and now I know the kind of work he does. I'm going to send him an email posing as one of these contacts of his. So instead of getting a random file, I would send him a file from his business partner, requesting him that, something looks very strange on my website. I made a screenshot, so click on the file so you can see it and you can fix it. And Leo, as someone who knows a little bit about cybersecurity, won't click on a file that just sent to him by a random address. But if I fake the address and send it from a contact of his, he'll click on that. He'll probably click on that.
My first contact with cybersecurity was, in fact, in my Abitur in Germany. I was able to show that the voting machines we have used in Germany, at least, for some time, weren't secure at all, because you can easily see what kind of vote was given by a certain person, and also it was very easy to manipulate them to put out wrong vote numbers.
This whole research part, the looking, and that's what we study for, and I think, most of you probably studied. Studying is sometimes it's really boring. So let's stop studying, let's attack something. So for example, the German government, the French Ministry of Interior, a whole number of important companies are using Nextcloud. Why? Because they can self-host it, because they own the data, which again is very interesting for us as, not hackers, but as demonstrators, because if they can host it themselves, we can also host it ourselves. And if we can host it ourselves, we can host it without any users, and that means we can attack it without breaking the law, which, believe me, is incredibly practical if you want to do a live demonstration, especially if that live demonstration is being filmed. Every attack we're about to show you works somewhere else. Why? It's not that Nextcloud is broken, it's that everything is. The user has a good password, right? We give him the benefit of the doubt, just for now, because, of course, every single one of you uses long and unique passwords for every single account. And those passwords are passwords that we can't guess with our automated tooling, which can try out, thousands, if not millions of passwords per second. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. There are still ways for us to attack a software via the password, more precisely, via the user. We're talking about something called social engineering here, more precisely phishing. Now, I don't know if any of you ever went fishing. Fishing is the process of, you have a hook and there's water there. So you throw out the hook, and after a while you pull it back in and you see if there's a fish. In a security context, phishing means, we create our own little hook and we throw it out into the users, and after some time we pull it back and we see if there's a password on there. Now, of all these options, the one that interests us the most is 3, the credentials, because credentials is just what you use to log in. So it's your login name and your password. And remember, we want to get into a software. So press 3. And this is where I start to really like SE Toolkit, because what we can do is we can just push 2 and we can clone an existing website. So this website cloning part, by the way, it's not prepared. This is all in real time. And what we want to attack is, do you guys like Twitter? Let's attack Twitter. So we put in the URL of Twitter's login page. And once we put enter in, this is when SE Toolkit goes to the page, it copies the page exactly, with one small difference. And the small difference is what I'm going to demonstrate you in a second. Because now that we have prepared that, I'll send a small message to my old arch enemy, Leonard. Because, well, it's just unbelievable what the FNF tweeted, right? Oh, look, he wants to log in to see the tweet. Right, you know how the Twitter login looks like. Actually, Leo, step away from the computer for a second. Go over there, somewhere where you can't harm. You see all this red, strange text? Now, you probably don't understand what's going on. Neither do I. I don't care. I'm just going to scroll up. I'm going to scroll up until right here. Because here it says, well, possible username field found and possible password field found. And it shows exactly what Leo just entered. And once I'm here, I'm going to put in his username, which you might remember is Elmarsh. And I'm going to look at his password, which we have right here. And surprise, surprise, this is where the hackers in the movies say, I'm in.
Right now, there's a lot of attacks which are mostly focusing on the people that are using systems. So any kind of approach that tries to make a system more secure always has to be holistic. That includes making the software itself more secure, but that also includes making the user of the software well, more aware of the risks and the dangers.
What we'll show you now is a little bit more complicated, and this is the kind of attack you would expect from a nation state, so from someone who has a lot of resources. And I'm talking, well, of course, about the backdoor. Well, most programs have a lot of source code. Nextcloud, for example, if we took every single line of code and represented it as a white dot, it would look kind of like this. How much of this code do we need to change to completely and utterly destroy every single, well, security ideal that Nextcloud has ever had? To allow unlimited access to everyone forever. And this is the safe Nextcloud. And the Nextcloud with backdoor, with unlimited access for everyone, looks like this. Do you see the difference? It's right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's a small little red dot right here. This is what we need to change. In fact, we need to change a single line, just a single word. To understand what exactly we'll change, let's go back to the source code. And what this does translated is it starts at the top and it asks, well, if the user has a username and if the password for that username is correct, let the user in, because the user is the user. But if the password is wrong, don't let them in. And the don't let them in part is right here, this false, which is just, well, no, don't let them in. But if we change this false to a true, what we're now saying is, well, if the user is trying to log in and he has his username and he has his password, if the password is right, let them in, because the user is the user. But if the password is wrong, let them in, because the user is obviously the user. So now, in theory, this is, well, not that interesting, so let's do it live. What if we just create a new password, a password only we as attackers can use, which the user doesn't know anything about, which allows us unlimited access? Does that sound like a good idea? What should our unlimited access password be? Come on, we're doing this live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rainer Adams, okay. So let's get back to our Nextcloud installation. I'm now the security auditor, right? I'm going to put in the username, and I'm going to put in just a random password to check that that I can't access it with the wrong password. But now let's put in our secret hacker password, because now it's night, and now I want to exfiltrate all the data. And surprise, surprise, we're in.
As soon as you realize that someone is or might be attacking you or found a vulnerability, the first reaction, of course, is fear. So you say, yeah, great, but take it away and, don't know, hide it somewhere else. I don't want to know about it. That's not a sensible approach, because the vulnerability is still there.
For this attack, we don't need to have any username password combination. Here you see a Windows 7 machine, and this Windows 7 machine has one special thing. It got no updates for kind of long time. Windows is a very big operating system. It has very many lines of code and probably also many software vulnerabilities. Such vulnerabilities sometimes get exposed. So in this case, we are using the Eternal Blue exploit. So the Eternal Blue exploit has a very interesting history because it was used by the NSA. The NSA leaked unintendedly some documents. And these documents contained a hint that this exploit exists. And then some cool guys, or not so cool guys, sat down and wrote an own exploit, and we had all this WannaCry stuff. So especially in Germany, with all the large companies, large industries we have in Germany, they had to deal with WannaCry, and this was really, really hard for them. So in this case, we are setting the payload to a so-called Metapreter reverse bind shell. That's basically a fancy name for, okay, we would like to have some kind of command line on the computer if the exploit is successful. TCP.
Yep.
And then we just have to set exploit. We are now with our second machine on the Windows machine without having any authentication or anything else. And you may have seen already this little file here. And of course, we can just get this file.
I think there's a very real risk that in the next couple of years there will be more exploits found that have a massive impact across basically everyone that's using computers. I wouldn't want to make any predictions into something which we don't know would happen, because the threats we have right now are big enough to basically keep us worried.